Kal Halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Wakakodash, that belongs to GMS, the Atomic Truth, Isaiah 5:20. Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. So this is a YouTube channel, Nick Jones, and it says they're creating genetically modified so-called super babies. So let's take a listen.
Rally push to breed super babies. Okay. That is the headline in the Washington Post, just came out recently.
That's one hell of a headline.
It's a headline, got my attention. It details Orchid Health, which is a fertility startup that is the first to say it can sequence the entire genome of a would-be baby, all the DNA in a future person before it's even implanted. So it tests for 1,200 rare disorders, and, Gail, this is the especially controversial part, it gives parents a polygenic risk score for issues like obesity, schizophrenia, dementia, a range of other ailments. So the CEO says what you get is, quote, a generation that gets to be genetically blessed and avoid disease. And this is the truly wild part. The same CEO claims, and this really caught my eye, that this kind of embryo screening is getting so good that in the future it will replace sex as the preferred method of making babies in the world. Quote from the CEO, sex is for fun, embryo screening is for babies.
So in other words, they want to replace God's role in creation. And they're calling that blessed. That's what's happening. I want to show you a couple videos going a little bit deeper into this company because they're already doing this. And I want to show you exactly what they're doing, because a lot of it rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm curious to know if y'all agree with me or not. And I'm even more curious because when I look at my analytics, 55% of y'all are women. And I'm wondering from the women's perspective, what exactly do y'all think about this? Let's start with this clip right here.
Messing with babies, with life, with the idea of God's creation is where science and religion and the past and future collide. At the center of all this, of course, is Noor and her company.
Orchid is the only company in the world that can do whole genome sequencing on embryos. So what that means is that we can collect 100 times the data on embryos compared to traditional methods. And what you can do with all that data is that you can scan for thousands of different genetic diseases that previously you couldn't diagnose or prevent until after symptoms already emerge and the baby's born. So with Orchid, you can actually select an embryo that's healthy so that your pregnancy and your baby also goes on to live a healthy life.
The Orchid service is aimed at parents going through the IVF process. Embryos are produced, and Orchid sequences their DNA.
There's kind of two steps to it. Parents can come together, get sequenced, sort of see how their genes line up together.
Yeah, exactly. So we have a simple way to kind of get the early parts of the information, which is that there's a saliva test. So they get reports on themselves, but they also get simulated reports on their embryos. That can be a really useful tool because instead of it being an abstract idea, you actually see simulated embryos based on you and your partner's DNA. So then you can see, okay, does it make sense to kind of go the old-fashioned way, or is there a really large potential risk reduction by actually creating and screening embryos? So it makes that very concrete for parents. And then the part that's really, really cool, sci-fi, first time ever, is that instead of it just being a possibility, we can actually sequence the entire genome of an embryo, which is 100 times the data compared to any other alternative, so that parents can actually select the embryo that actually is lower risk.
So they can select the embryo that is lower risk. So in other ways, and another way of saying that is we're getting more sophisticated at our ability to terminate babies.